My name is Emily Carrington. I'm 34 years old, and until this morning, I thought I had a quiet, predictable life. I live alone in a third-floor apartment in Denver, tucked above a florist and a coffee shop. I work remotely as a compliance analyst for a regional logistics firm. My days are quiet, structured, almost forgettable. That's how I like them. This morning started like any other. I was in my kitchen cradling a chipped white mug that says I work best in silence, a joke from a coworker who didn't realize how seriously I took it. The kettle had just finished hissing. Outside, the sky was bruised with clouds but not yet storming. I liked mornings like that, dull, uneventful, full of space. Then my phone rang. At first, I let it buzz. The number was unfamiliar. Some California area code I only answered because something in me hesitated some nudge I couldn't name. "Hello," I said, already expecting a robocall. A pause. Then a man's voice, calm and professional. "Good morning, is this Emily Carrington?" "Yes," I said, stiffening. "This is Jordan Reyes with Liberty National Bank. I'm calling in regard to your mortgage account ending in 3792. We've attempted to contact you multiple times regarding the overdue balance." I blinked, the mug suddenly heavier in my hands. "I don't have a mortgage," I said. The man didn't sound surprised. He continued in the same even tone. "According to our records, a residential property loan was issued in your name 3 years ago for the amount of $840. The address is 289 Sycamore Grove in San Diego. Payments have been delinquent since late summer." I laughed. Not because anything was funny, because it was the only sound I could make. "There must be some mistake. I said I've never bought property. I've never even been to San Diego." We verified this account with the Social Security number ending in 0147 and your date of birth. Both match the application and signature records. My heart jolted. That was my number. That was my birthday. My voice caught. I didn't sign for anything like that." "Would you like us to email you the loan documents, Miss Carrington? You can review the original application and the notarized signature." I didn't answer right away. I didn't trust my voice. My hands had gone numb. The mug trembled slightly, porcelain knocking against the sink as I set it down. "Please send them," I whispered. He confirmed my email address, thanked me for my time, and ended the call. It was that simple. I stood there for a long time, staring at the muted light through the window. The sky unchanged, but the world underneath it now completely altered. I didn't feel panic yet. I felt weightless, like my body had floated 6 inches above the tile floor. On my kitchen counter sat a stack of unopened mail I'd been ignoring for days. I began sifting through it. Utility bill, pre-approved credit offer. A familiar envelope caught my eye. Liberty National Bank. I tore it open with shaking hands. Inside was a flyer from 6 months ago. "You're pre-approved," complete with my name in clean serif font. I had thrown it aside without reading it. Now it hummed with irony. A sudden rush of nausea swept through me. The laptop on the counter blinked with unread work emails, project updates, a message from my supervisor asking about a Q3 policy memo. I didn't open any of them. Instead, I went into my bedroom and pulled out the bin I kept beneath the bed. It was filled with tax forms, health insurance letters, and legal paperwork from the past decade. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for, but some instinct told me to start there. And then I remembered. 3 years ago, Noah and Mia. It was a Thanksgiving dinner, one of the last I'd gone to at my parents' house in Centennial. I'd brought a sweet potato casserole store-bought because I'd been too swamped with work to cook. Mia had been glowing Noah's girlfriend of a year, talking about how tough the California market was, how they'd love to settle near her family. Noah said, "We're hoping to close on something soon." And my mother, sliding the pie into the oven, had replied with a smile, "Don't worry, family always figures something out." I remember nodding at the time, thinking maybe they'd help with a down payment. I'd never imagined they meant something else. Now I sat back on the floor, the plastic bin cracked open my legs, numb beneath me. I didn't feel rage. Not yet. Only silence. A deep, stretching silence that started in my chest and filled the room like fog. Something had shifted. I didn't know what to call it yet, but I knew it wouldn't go away. The folder is still where I left it, tucked behind the water bill and an old warranty I never used. Yellow creased at the corner marked in thick black ink. Family. Forms and docs. I pull it out like I've done a dozen times over the years, half expecting it to hum with heat. Inside are scraps of A Quiet, Thankless Life, copies of FAFSA applications I filled out for Noah, the lease transfer for my parents' old Camry. I co-signed when their credit couldn't handle it, and a tax return where I caught a mistake my father would have paid for if I hadn't double-checked. These weren't grand gestures. They were habits. Quiet, invisible rituals passed off as daughterly duties. You do them and no one says thank you. They say, she's the capable one. Noah is my younger brother by 4 years. That age gap was enough to make me the test case, the default grown-up, the emotional shock absorber of the Carrington family. My mother, Donna, always joked that I came out of the womb holding a clipboard. My father, Kirk, called me the dependable one at every holiday gathering, as if that title came with warmth instead of responsibility. Noah was different. Charming, creative, endlessly forgiven. He dropped out of college after 2 semesters, got a job at a startup, quit 6 months in, tried photography, then video editing, then dog walking. Each time he failed, someone picked up the slack. Each time my parents would sigh and say, "He's just figuring things out." The figuring seemed endless. I was never allowed to drift like that. I went to college on scholarship, worked 2 part-time jobs, and stayed up late learning software that nobody taught me because I couldn't afford to fall behind. Nobody asked if I was tired, nobody asked if I was lonely. They only asked for help. And I gave it. One document in the folder catches my eye, a forwarded email from my mother. The subject line vague. "Quick favor, can you look this over?" Attached was a blank rental application unsigned. I remember filling it out for them, fixing the numbers, organizing the paperwork before sending it back. I didn't ask what it was for. I never did. It felt automatic. That's how they got me, I realize now. Not with threats or pressure, just with routine. 3 years ago, we were all at the house in Centennial for Thanksgiving. My parents were in one of their ambitious moods. They'd set the dining table with mismatched candles and gold napkin rings from the discount aisle. Mia, Noah's then-girlfriend, was there too. She was polite, soft-spoken, and full of Pinterest-ready dreams. They had just come back from visiting her parents in San Diego. "We found this neighborhood," Mia said, passing the gravy with both hands. "It's near a canyon and has great schools. Even though we're not thinking about kids yet, it's just nice to think ahead, you know." Noah laughed and said, "We're house hunting, sort of the market's brutal." Donna clucked her tongue. "Family always figures it out." I remember that line. I remember nodding, thinking she meant they might help with a little money, a down payment maybe, or co-signing. What I didn't realize was that in our family, figuring it out meant Emily will do it. After dinner, I helped wash the dishes. My mother thanked me, but not really. She wiped her hands and said, "You're so good with forms. You should have been a lawyer." I smiled because it was easier than asking why. That never meant anything more than more forms. I found a photo later, weeks after that Thanksgiving. It was one my mother had printed and posted on Facebook. Everyone was in it, Kirk and Donna at the center. Noah on one side, Mia on the other. The table was full of food and flickering candles. I remembered the moment being captured. I had taken the photo. In the version posted online, I wasn't there. Cropped out, as if I had only existed to frame the scene and then step aside. That photo is still saved in my phone. Blurry, poorly lit, and yet it says more than any caption could. My parents never explicitly favored Noah. They didn't need to. It was in the way they reacted when he struggled with sympathy, urgency, softness. When I struggled, they said things like, "You'll be fine. You always are." I was the one who didn't ask for much, so they gave me nothing and called it love. In that folder, I also find a medical consent form from when my mother had surgery 4 years ago. I signed it. Took the day off work, sat in the waiting room for hours while Noah didn't show. She'd thanked me once, over the phone. A few weeks later, she forgot and said to someone Noah was there the whole time. I thought about correcting her but didn't. That's the version they preferred, the one where he showed up. And maybe without knowing it, I had learned to live on the sidelines. Reliable, invisible. Never the one in need. Until now. Now I'm staring at a folder full of choices I never really made, decisions handed to me like a baton under the pretense of responsibility. And I realized the thing they valued wasn't me. It was the way I made their lives easier. They borrowed my steadiness the way some people borrow money, quietly without saying thank you, and when they used up too much, they just asked for more. Maybe I always thought there would be a line they wouldn't cross. Maybe I believed that at the very least my name was mine. I was wrong. And now I can see it, how each favor was a quiet rehearsal for the day they'd take something bigger. The email arrives just after noon. Subject line: requested mortgage file, Liberty National Bank. I open it slowly as if the words inside could explode. There it is, a scanned PDF, 73 pages long, neatly bookmarked with tabs. Application verification documents, amortization schedule, and near the middle, my signature. It looks like mine. The curve of the E, the tilt of the C, the spacing, at a glance. I could believe I had signed it, that I had simply forgotten or made a mistake, or that the past 3 years had blurred things I should remember. But I zoom in. The R in Carrington is too stiff. Mine always loops under slightly like a hook. The tail of the G curls in a way I never write it. It's practiced, not traced. Someone studied me. I stare at it, a dull ache blooming at the base of my skull. The numbers make less sense than the signature: $840,000, 30 years fixed interest rate. I read the property address again. 289, Sycamore Grove, San Diego, a place I've never seen. Never been. Someone bought a life in my name. Then I see it. Page 71. The notary's name, Nicole Westrick. The stamp still crisp around the seal. Nicole. We shared locker space junior year. Same homeroom, different circles. She was the kind of person who wore glitter lip gloss unironically and always had a pack of gum. We weren't close, but I remember her laugh, how she'd let people borrow her notes without ever expecting them back. I type her name into Facebook and find her in seconds. Same city, still in Colorado. Her profile picture is from a birthday party, balloons a toddler, the kind of happiness that exists in small kitchens. I hesitate, then send a message. Hi, Nicole. This is Emily Carrington from East Ridge High. Sorry to reach out like this, but quick question. Did you notarize a mortgage loan for me about 3 years ago? She replies 20 minutes later. Hey, Emily. Wow, that's a name I haven't seen in forever. Yeah, I did notarize something for your mom a few years back. She said you were really sick and couldn't be there in person. I'm so sorry if I wasn't supposed to. She said it was urgent. I reread it twice, then again. My hand goes cold. 3 years ago, I try to remember what was happening. Then I flip through the mental calendar, my apartment deadlines, late nights, and then it hits me. Shellfish. There was a company event, a catering error. I ended up in the ER, gasping for air, strapped to a gurney with an oxygen mask over my mouth. I was unconscious for over 12 hours. I hadn't eaten shellfish since I was a kid, but someone had mislabeled something. I remember the ride to the hospital only in fragments. A nurse's voice, my own chest rising slowly. Darkness. I dig through my old emails, scroll back to the week of the incident. There, in the time-stamped corner, sits a message from Liberty National Bank. Your mortgage application has been approved, dated 3:11 p.m. I pick up my phone and call the hospital. Hi, I'm trying to verify some old admission records. It's for my own health files. After being bounced between departments, I reach someone named Trina in records. Her voice is warm, but clipped efficient. Do you have the date of service? October 14th, 3 years ago. She pulls up the file. You were brought in at 2:12 p.m. Notes say you were unconscious by 2:29. IV, administered, monitored for anaphylaxis, discharged the next morning. Was anyone listed as a visitor, I ask. Only one A relative, Donna Carrington. My mother. I close my eyes. Do you happen to have footage from the hallway or outside the room? I know it's a stretch. There's a pause. We archive hallway cams for 4 years. I can check. Give me a couple hours. 2 hours later, she calls back. I reviewed the hallway footage from that day. At 2:47 p.m., a woman matching Donna Carrington enters your room. You're visibly unconscious. You don't move during the entire recording. She leaves around 3:18. I hang up and sit very still. The air in my apartment is stale, the kind of stale you don't notice until the quiet becomes too heavy to breathe. I crack open the window, let the wind push in. Somewhere outside, someone is laughing, a dog barks, a truck rumbles past. Life goes on even when something inside you has stopped. I reach for the yellow legal pad I left on the table and write a new heading in block letters. Unauthorized uses of my identity. Then I underline it. Once. Twice. My hand is steadier than I expect. I list the mortgage, the notary deception, the hospital timestamp. Then I think of all the things that came before. Tax forms signed on my behalf. Credit lines opened for household emergencies. Leases co-signed without my full consent. I flip to a second page and then back to the first. I'm not done. Later, my phone buzzes again. A message from my mother. "You're the strong one. We figured you'd understand." I stare at it unblinking. They never said sorry. They never even asked if I knew. Because to them, I didn't need to be asked. I was the safe bet, the strong one, the signature on standby. I close the legal pad gently. My name, it turns out, is only mine when I guard it. By morning, I stop calling it a mistake. The word I use now is structure. I've seen it before in spreadsheets and audit trails in line items that only make sense when you step back far enough. This is the same. My life has been combed through piece by piece and used wherever it suited them, not randomly, strategically. So I respond in kind. I call Sloan the next day. We used to work together years ago, back when we both handled compliance audits at Ridgepoint Logistics. She's at a firm now, mid-sized and ambitious. When she hears my voice, she doesn't hesitate. "Come by the office this afternoon," she says. "Bring everything." Her firm is in a gray stone building near Civic Center. The lobby smells like citrus cleaner and toner. She meets me in a glass-walled conference room and doesn't waste time. I hand her the printed mortgage file, the hospital records, Nicole's message, the timeline. She reads in silence, eyes flicking back and forth like a metronome. When she finishes, she leans back and crosses her arms. "This is patterned," she says. "Not accidental. They've done this before. It's structured." I nod. That's what I'm starting to think. It's not just fraud, she says. It's identity exploitation within a family that makes it harder and messier, but not untouchable. She refers me to a woman named Marlene Hoyt, a specialist in familial financial abuse. I make the appointment for the following week. In the meantime, I start digging. I set up my desk like a war room. 2 screens, a legal pad. The yellow one stays on the left, titled Unauthorized Uses of My Identity. The new one, white heavier paper, sits on the right. I label it Chronology. Then I open a manila folder and write the title across the tab in black marker, Carrington Legal, Draft. The first thing I print is an email from 3 years ago. It was from my mother. Subject, just a quick doc. "Emily, can you sign and return this for the file? It's just easier if we move fast." The attached file had no instructions, no context. I remember opening it on my phone, skimming the top half and thinking it was insurance-related. I never followed up. I was in the middle of a work trip. Now I compare that attachment with the version filed in the mortgage package. The difference is clear. The signature on the bank's copy doesn't match the one I sent. The file metadata has been altered. My initials appear on every page, but the strokes are too clean. Too neat, like someone practiced. I pull out old documents, loan applications from Noah's community college days, vehicle registration transfers, even 1 year's joint utility account where I'd agreed to be co-signer. Each time my name appears on the dotted line, sometimes printed, sometimes signed, sometimes reduced to initials. None of it ever flagged me because I thought I was helping. I organize them into categories. Educational loans, real estate, vehicle leases, utilities, medical releases. By the end of the day, I have 14 separate instances where my name was used in service of someone else's life. That night I find the sticky note. It's stuck to the windshield of my car, pale yellow written in shaky block letters with a thick pen. Back off. No signature, no context, just those 2 words. It's childish, unoriginal, but it does what it's meant to do. It tries to make me hesitate. I don't. I take a photo of the note with a timestamp, then I peel it off, smooth the crease, and slide it into the manila folder. One more piece of proof. The next morning, I sit with everything laid out in front of me: bank statements, screenshots, signatures, social messages, the mortgage, the date of the shellfish reaction, the notary file, the hospital timestamp, the email, metadata, the sticky note. Each piece leads into the next like a breadcrumb trail. This time, I don't feel like the victim. I feel like the one holding the evidence. I write a new line in the yellow pad. They used my name like it belonged to them. Then I underline it once slowly. When I speak with Marlene Hoyt, she listens without interrupting. She's in her early 50s, sharp-eyed, soft-voiced. I've barely finished my summary when she says, "You're not the only one." I blink. She explains that familial financial abuse is common especially among eldest daughter's single adults, or what she calls structural siblings, the reliable ones. You become the default? Yes, she says. And when you don't say it out loud, they think that's consent. I nod, and when you finally do say no, they call you ungrateful. Her mouth tightens into a knowing smile. We go through the documents together. She marks what's actionable, what's gray, and what has to be approached with caution. At the end of the meeting, she slides the folder back to me. This isn't just a civil issue. She says, this has teeth. If Liberty National decides to cooperate, it can become criminal. I hold the folder on my lap the whole ride home. It feels heavier now, not with dread, but with mass. It feels real. Later that evening, I take one last look through the documents. The part that shakes me most isn't the mortgage. It's a small invoice tucked between two statements, a utility bill from 4 years ago addressed to Noah and Mia with my name listed as secondary payer. It's such a small thing, $46.23. But it speaks louder than any contract. Because that's how it started. Not with theft, with favor, with silence. And every silence after that was counted as permission. Not anymore. The cafe is just off Wynkoop Street, one of those polished brick places where the tables are small and the music tries too hard to feel effortless. I come here sometimes to read case notes or sip something warm that I don't have to make myself. It's late afternoon, early spring. The light filters through the window like someone turned down the saturation on the day. I'm waiting in line when I hear a voice behind me. Emily. I turn Serena Halpern. She hasn't changed much, just older around the eyes. We used to sit next to each other at a few of Noah's cookouts back when she and I were both orbiting the same disaster. Serena, I say, surprised, hey. We do the polite smile thing, the you go ahead in line thing, and then before I know it, we're at a small corner table, 2 coffees between us, a single untouched blueberry muffin in the center, like a peace offering neither of us asked for. She looks down at her cup. I've seen your name in a few places recently, she says quietly. Didn't feel right? Not to say something. I wait. She reaches into her bag and pulls out a folded paper. Worn edges curled, the ink slightly faded. I know what it is before I even see it. My credit report, she says. From when Noah and I were still together, I got a call one day from a collections agency. Turns out he'd leased a car in my name. Also took out a $10,000 small business loan. Said it was just to get things started, that he'd switch it later. I believed him. The paper shakes a little in her hand. What address was used, I ask, though I already know. Your parents, she says, the house on Magnolia? I sit back. She pushes the report toward me. You're not crazy, Emily. They did it to me, too. I don't touch the paper right away. I just stare at it, at the date in the top right corner. 6 years ago, before Mia. Before the house in San Diego. This didn't start with me. I just happened to notice it first. I'm so sorry, I say, and I mean it. Serena shakes her head. You don't need to be. I've carried this around for years thinking maybe I let it happen. Maybe I should have seen the signs earlier. She stops. Then her voice gets smaller, but it wasn't just Noah. It was your mom, too. She knew she signed something as a guarantor. I didn't realize until I looked at the paperwork later. I finally pick up the muffin and peel the wrapper halfway. I don't eat it, just need to do something with my hands. You were what, 23 back then, I ask. Yeah, she says, and he told me I was being dramatic, that I was making a big deal out of nothing. He gaslit me so thoroughly I apologized for checking my own credit. I nod slowly, the familiar ache settling behind my eyes. It's like hearing my own story in another voice, and it makes something in me soften and harden at the same time. I didn't even know they used my name, I say, not until a bank called me last week, San Diego $840,000 mortgage. Her eyes widen. They forged my signature, I continue, while I was unconscious in a hospital bed. Serena exhales, leans forward. You always seemed so together. I give a short, quiet laugh. I think that's why they picked me. She nods, same. We sit in silence for a while. It's not awkward, it's weighty, but it's not heavy, like two people standing in the same room, looking at the same crack in the wall, realizing it's been there for years. I've filed a report, I say, started building a case. If you need a witness, she says I'll give you a statement. I kept everything. Emails, texts, bank alerts. You'd do that. Serena meets my gaze. They can't keep doing this. I reach into my own folder, the one I never leave home without now, and write her name in the margin, Serena Halpern supporting affidavit. I never told anyone, she says I was too embarrassed. Me too. The muffin sits untouched between us, the wrapper peeled back a little crumb, gathering near the edge. I lost a lot of money, Serena adds, but I think what hurt more was realizing that none of it was a mistake. It was a choice. I nod. It always is, I say. I watch her shoulders ease just slightly, like being believed is its own kind of justice. Can I ask you something? She says, voice lower now. Of course. When you realized it, that they used your name, your identity, what did you feel? I pause. The words come slower. Not anger, I say. Not at first, just erasure, like I didn't exist as a person, only as access. Serena closes her eyes for a second, then opens them again. That's exactly it. We sit there a few minutes longer. Our drinks go cold. The air in the cafe changes from warm rush to early quiet. Shift change, dimmed lights. When we finally stand to leave, she presses the credit report back into her bag and says, "You're not alone in this, Emily." I believe her. As I step out into the dusk, I pull out my phone and update my list under supporting evidence. I add, Serena Halpern Carley's business loan matching pattern shared address willing to testify. Then I open a blank note and write, I wasn't the first and I won't be the last if I stay quiet. That thought keeps me moving. The roast is overcooked. That's the first thing I notice as I slide into my usual seat at the Carrington dinner table. The smell is sharp, bitter at the edges, like something left in the oven too long. The potatoes glisten with too much butter. Everything looks perfect in the way store mannequins do, polished, posed, but entirely hollow. It's Sunday evening in Centennial, and I haven't been to one of these dinners in months. Not since the call, not since the folder, not since I started drawing lines I never knew I was allowed to draw. Donna smiles when she sees me too wide, too rehearsed. We weren't sure you'd make it, sweetheart. I nod once I know. Kirk doesn't speak. He gives a grunt of acknowledgement and goes back to cutting the roast with military precision. Noah is already at the table, his wine glass half full. Mia's not here. She hasn't been in the picture since things started unraveling in San Diego. They offer me mashed potatoes, I pass. Buttered rolls, I decline. My plate stays empty, and no one asks why. Dinner chatter floats around me. Something about renovations, about the HOA being unreasonable about inflation. No one mentions the property in San Diego. No one mentions the mortgage. It's like they believe silence will make it disappear. I let them talk. I let them serve themselves and each other. I sip water while my fingers rest lightly on the edge of a manila envelope in my bag. It's labeled in my handwriting, Liberty Case, filed copy. I wait until dessert. Donna clears the dishes, humming something tuneless while Kirk brings out a cherry pie that's too neat to be homemade. Noah uncorks another bottle of wine and asks if anyone wants a top-up. That's when I speak. Before we cut the pie, I say quietly, I'd like to share something. 4 sets of eyes land on me. Even Kirk pauses, pie server in hand. I pull the envelope from my bag and set it down on the table between the salt shaker and a stack of floral napkins. Noah squints at it. What is that? I meet his gaze evenly. A copy of the fraud report I filed with Liberty National. The mortgage on Sycamore Grove has been frozen. Renovations are on hold. You have 30 days to vacate. The room stops breathing. Donna blinks, lips parted. Emily, what are you talking about? Kirk's voice cuts in low and sharp. What the hell is this? I'm not here to argue. I say I'm here to inform. The signature was forged. I was unconscious in a hospital bed when the document was signed. There's security footage. The notary gave a statement. The bank has opened a formal investigation. Noah shoots up from his chair. You're unbelievable, he snaps. We were building a life and you're tearing it down. You built it on my name, I say, voice calm, and you never asked. Donna clutches a napkin. We thought you knew. We thought you'd be okay with it. You weren't using your credit for anything. I look at her. That's not how consent works. Kirk slams the pie server on the table. You've always been dramatic, Emily. You take everything personally. I nod slowly because it happened to me. No one speaks. I push the envelope a little closer toward them. Inside are the documents the bank used to verify the fraud timestamps medical records. Notary testimony legal counsel is copied on all correspondence. You'll also find the letter from Liberty requesting that all tenants vacate the San Diego property by the end of the month. Noah's hands ball into fists. You're ruining this family. I tilt my head. You did that the moment you decided I was a resource, not a person. Donna wipes at her eyes, but there are no tears. You're overreacting. We just wanted to help Noah get ahead. You've always been so stable. And that made me disposable. She doesn't answer. Kirk mutters, You're not the only one who sacrificed. I let the silence hang. I let them sit with it, with the version of me they don't recognize, the one who doesn't back down, who doesn't smile and nod and fix it for them. I stand slowly. Thank you for dinner, I say, my voice level. Next time you decide to rewrite someone's future, don't send it through the mail. Noah scoffs. You think this is over? I meet his glare. It is for me. I leave my plate untouched. I leave the pie uneaten. I walk to the door with the kind of calm that comes from clarity. My shoes sound sharp against the hardwood, each step quieter than the last. I don't look back. Out in the driveway, the air is crisp, the night half-formed. I slide into the driver's seat and close the door behind me. For a moment, I just sit there, hands on the wheel. Then I exhale. A long, steady breath I didn't realize I was holding. When I get home, I file the dinner in my memory as Exhibit G, the moment I stopped asking to be heard and started making sure I was counted. The courtroom isn't dramatic. It doesn't echo. The lights don't flicker. It smells faintly of printer toner and old carpet, and when you sit down, the chair creaks just enough to remind you that you're not invisible. It's a weekday morning, too early for adrenaline, too late for second thoughts. Marlene sits beside me, calm and sharp in a navy suit. Her folder rests on the table labeled in clean capital letters, Carrington v. Liberty and Estate. It's thick with everything, emails, timestamps, testimony, handwriting, analysis statements from Serena Hospital records, legal precedents. Across from us are 3 people I used to call family. Donna is in a pale sweater, her hands folded tight in her lap. Kirk leans back in his chair like he's pretending this is beneath him. Noah stares straight ahead, jaw tense, his lawyer whispering something in his ear. None of them look at me. I don't need them to. The judge enters. She's in her 60s with silver hair and reading glasses perched halfway down her nose. She's not interested in drama. She reviews the file the way someone reads blueprints carefully, structurally, like she knows where to look for the cracks. When she speaks, her voice is steady, unapologetic. This court has reviewed the full evidentiary record submitted by counsel for Emily Carrington. She begins. That includes medical records verifying hospitalization time-stamped camera footage, a notarized affidavit from Nicole Westrick, an independent handwriting expert's analysis, and a corroborating statement from Serena Halpern, who alleges a similar pattern of unauthorized financial activity. Every sentence lands like a pin hitting the floor. Precise, audible, unignorable. The signature on the mortgage document is determined to be fraudulent. The mortgage contract for 289 Sycamore Grove is therefore declared void. Liberty National is instructed to remove all Carrington financial obligations related to this property from credit reporting systems. I glance toward Noah. His face is stone. The judge pauses before continuing. This court also recognizes a sustained pattern of coercive financial abuse within the Carrington family structure. Though no criminal charges have been filed at this time, a formal warning is issued to Kirk Donna and Noah Carrington. Any future unauthorized use of the plaintiff's identity or financial information may be prosecuted under applicable fraud statutes. Donna gasps, barely audible. The judge's eyes pass over the room, but never land on me. She doesn't need to. The matter is now closed. The gavel taps once, that's all it takes? We don't celebrate. There's no cheering, no applause, just the slow shuffle of papers being packed into briefcases, the sound of footsteps against tile, the quiet hum of something that has ended without spectacle. Marlene turns to me. You don't need to say anything she says. I wasn't planning to, I answer. We walk out together. The door closes behind us with a quiet click, not a slam. That's the part that stays with me. There's no need to raise your voice when you have the facts. Outside, the sun is too bright for a day like this. I squint, then reach for my phone. There's a photo I've kept saved in a folder I never open. It's from 8 years ago. Christmas, we're all standing in front of the fireplace. Me, Noah, Donna Kirk. I'm holding a mug of cider. Smiling because that's what you do when someone says smile. The tree behind us leans slightly to the left. I remember how we argued about fixing it. I stare at the photo for a long time. Then I delete it. There's no prompt asking me if I'm sure. No hesitation, just a brief flicker on the screen, and then it's gone. Back in the car, I don't turn on the radio, I don't call anyone. I sit for a while watching people pass by on the sidewalk, none of them knowing what that courtroom held today, none of them knowing that someone just got her name back. I think about boundaries. I think about how long it took me to realize I could have them. Not all peace comes from forgiveness. Sometimes it comes from knowing you no longer owe anyone an explanation. When I finally start the engine, my reflection in the rearview mirror looks unchanged, but I know better. This is what clarity looks like. Not loud, not cruel. Just done. The light in Boulder hits differently, softer, maybe a little more golden around the edges. I notice it most in the early evenings when the sun stretches itself thin over the foothills and everything looks dusted and calm. My apartment is small, 4 rooms total if you count the balcony, but it's mine. The lease is in my name. The bank account is mine. Every decision, every key, every quiet corner belongs to me. There's a wheel in the corner of my living room, an old pottery wheel I bought secondhand from a woman who was moving to New Mexico. I run a small studio out of the space. Now, nothing big. Mostly custom mugs and bowls. Orders trickle in through an online shop and a few local vendors. Some weekends I bring them to artisan markets and set up a simple table with a linen cloth, a cash box, and a folding sign that says, Carrington Ceramics. Every piece I sell is stamped with the same word, consent. It's carved into the bottom of each mug, each bowl pressed carefully while the clay is still soft. I don't explain it unless someone asks. Today at the market, someone does. She's middle-aged hair in a braid, wearing a wide-brimmed hat and a faded denim shirt. She picks up a sky-blue mug and runs her thumb along the base. Consent, she reads aloud. That's unusual. I nod. She looks up. Can I ask why that word? I smile gently because everything I am now was signed for by me. She doesn't press further. She just holds the mug for a second longer and says, That's beautiful, before placing it into her basket. After the market, I pack up slowly. I wrap each leftover piece and tissue load the bins into the trunk of my car and head home through the back roads. The mountains flank the horizon like tired guardians, and the trees cast long shadows that feel almost protective. Back at the apartment, I set the bins by the door and go to the kitchen. I boil water for tea, lavender, and mint. A blend I make myself now and pull out one of my own mugs, the one I always keep. It's off-white glazed in a soft matte finish and stamped with the word I no longer have to explain to myself. Consent. I carry it to the balcony and sink into the old wooden chair I refinished last fall. The air is cool, the city hums below, distant and uninvolved. I like that. I like knowing that this place doesn't remember what came before, that it has no need to. I think sometimes about the version of me that existed before the call from Liberty National, before the folder, before the courthouse and the envelope and the long, slow unbraiding of what I thought love was supposed to look like. That version of me kept her head down. She made things easy for other people. She said yes without knowing it. She accepted erasure as part of the job description. This version of me knows better. I didn't walk away with victory. I walked away with air in my lungs and silence that doesn't bite. I walked away with space. That's enough. Every now and then, I still get a message. A forwarded email, a cousin trying to reconnect, a new phone number leaving vague voicemails. I never return. I don't block them. I don't need to. They don't know who I am anymore. And more importantly, I no longer expect them to. I finish my tea slowly, the mug warm in my hands, my name pressed into the bottom in the same curve it's always had, my signature etched by me for me. No witnesses, no notaries, no borrowed pens. Just mine. Emily's story is not just about a forged signature. It is about the quiet erosion of self and the moment a woman chooses to stop disappearing into other people's plans. Through silence, she was used. Through clarity, she found her voice. This was not revenge, it was reclamation. A reminder that boundaries are not walls, but doors you are allowed to close. That being dependable does not mean being disposable, and that even in the aftermath of betrayal, you can build something new, something honest in your own name. If this story spoke to you, if you've ever felt overlooked, misused, or simply unseen, we invite you to share your thoughts. Like, comment, or subscribe to hear more stories of quiet strength, justice, and the people who refuse to stay silent, because sometimes the softest voices carry the heaviest truths.